a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
The bits.
Welcome to The Bits, hosted by your favorite jam buds, Charlie.
And Robert.
Whoa. Hey, do you hear somebody crying, Robert?
I definitely hear a cry for help. Is that Phoebe from Tumblr?
Hello.
OMG, it's Phoebe from Tumblr.
I think that's how we should credit her in the title, because we've been crediting her as Phoebe from Monster Donut, but now we're doing Phoebe from Tumblr now. But yeah, Phoebe's back. Woo! Everyone, round of applause. It's great. Phoebe, you were last on for... I totally have the schedule in front of me. Charlie, do you have the schedule for me?
Because I know you don't, because I'm on the schedule. Okay, you were last on for Maximum Capacity last season?
Yes.
Was there another one? And Mirror Gem.
Yeah.
And so many birthdays.
Yes.
Boy, howdy.
This is Phoebe's 4th episode. I believe this continues to make Phoebe our most frequent guest. So hello, Phoebe.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I think so.
I'm honored.
I'm gonna have to count this because who's been on the longest? It's
all right. So while Charlie's counting that, Phoebe, if you'd like to remind everyone who you are, what you do, casually throw in your pronouns because you're a cool being, and maybe also tell us why you chose this episode.
Okay. I'm Phoebe, she, her. I am the co-host of Monster Donut, a Percy Jackson podcast. I am a dramaturg and story consultant in both my professional and free time lives. And I'm also a writer. And I chose this episode. Honestly, I didn't remember much about it. But as I have mentioned on the podcast before, I have a large document with all of the Steven Universe episodes listed, along with notes on what episodes I liked, what episodes you can skip. All of my favorites are in italics. And I looked at season 2, didn't remember it very well. I saw that this one was in italics, and I remembered sardonyx, and I remembered the fusion dance, and I was like, that part's cool, so I went for it. And I remembered it was a Pearl episode, and Pearl is my favorite of the gems, so I was like, yeah, let's do this one. But I kind of went in as blind as I can go.
Okay, I have tallied it up. You do have the most episodes, I think, including this one. So I think behind you is Zach and Kyla, both having 3, and Phoebe has 4 now.
Damn, look at you go, Phoebe.
Yeah. I'm gonna win. It's a competition.
We'll see if you can keep it up.
But you got to keep up by helping us talk about season 2, episode 11, Cry for Help, which premiered July 13th, 2015. But before we do that, hey, Charlie, did the postman bring us any post?
Not since the last time. Sorry. We're now in a new dry spell of no postman.
Don't fucking call it a dry spell. We are not unsatisfied women in the 50s who are fucking the mailman. That is a terrible joke to make. But
well, you know what? Instead we could be happy about something else. Instead of talking about the mail, we should be like, hey, guess what? We got some patrons.
Oh yeah, we did. Hey, let's do a quick little shout out to our new patrons.
Yeah, so recently, I don't think I said this when they actually joined, technically the end of last month. We have a new $1 patron. So our $1 tier is system/boot.pearlfinal3.info. Because it's the Discord tier. So we got a new $1 tier, Gamja, who joined the Discord. And then we have 2 people in the $5 tier, which is What Can I Do For You? Because they get access to Steven's Room, the bonus show. We have Ethan and Jeffrey. So We got 3 patrons. What's up with that?
Thank y'all for joining our Patreon. It's great. Hey, since we're continuing bits for a second, since we have Phoebe from Tumblr, hey, if you want to see Charlie and I as featured content creators in DashCon 2, I don't know why it feels particularly embarrassing to do this bit in front of Phoebe. I don't know why.
Because she's Phoebe from Tumblr?
I guess.
Like,
I do this bit in front of everyone else who like genuinely they think it's like a little funny bit, but also don't care. But like Phoebe, would you care if you were a featured guest at not PodCon, DashCon 2?
Oh, I would love to be a guest at DashCon 2.
If there are 2 things that have survived the sinking and then rising and sinking ship and then rising ship of Tumblr, it would be Steven Universe and Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, make sure to tell the peoples who eventually... I've been following this fucking mailing list religiously. Anytime... There's only been like 2 updates since they brought the concept of like, oh, we're bringing back DashCon in Canada in 2025. I'm like, I'm meticulously looking for the emails. I want to know.
You should have signed up on the Bits email.
That would have been a good thing to do, yeah.
I think I'm gonna do that.
Fantastic. All right. Before we just keep talking nonsense, let's talk about the episode. So the episode opens up with Stephen and Amethyst watching an episode of Crying Breakfast Friends. It's for those of you who need your hand held for a second to talk about this. This is, damn, I was gonna be a little bit disrespectful, but then I don't remember what the literary device is. Foreshadowing, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. It's partially that.
It's partially that. Because like the Crying Breakfast Friends are crying over spilt ice cream, like ice cream on the floor, and Amethyst is like, I don't know why they're not eating the ice cream off the floor.
You know what my brain is going to? Like, this is whatever trope this is called, it's like the same thing they used in like the original Wizard of Oz movie, like shit like that, where it's like, we're gonna equate these characters to these other characters and be like, symbolism, allegory.
It took me up like a few days ago for me to properly realize that like the 3 random worker men people in the Wizard of Oz are the same actors who play the lion, the scarecrow, and the Tin Man. And I don't know why that escaped my grasp, because that's also the same shit for Wicked. Well, to an extent, like the same concept of like you have a character who then also plays, or an actor who plays both the character and then also plays the Tin Man, the Scarecrow. And I guess the Cowardly Lion is just a lion. That's just, he's just a guy.
That's just
he's
a fucking lion. That's just a guy.
So yeah, it took me way too long to realize that. The television stops working randomly, and all of a sudden it like gets a bunch of static. Steven's complaining that this has been happening a lot, and Amethyst tries to fix it by doing what like everyone just kind of does when electronics don't work. You just like beat the shit out of it.
Yeah. I related so heavily to this as someone with a currently broken TV. Like this whole episode really spoke to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's fine.
So after a few swift kicks, the screen shows Peridot demanding help and asking like Yellow Diamond to help with like extraction. And this message is being sent in all frequencies, and then it loops, which for some reason triggered for me the season 2 opening of Invincible, when the looped message of an evil Invincible is like looping over, being like, hey, we're taking over your world. Don't fight back. Don't forget, I'm invincible. And then it reloops. Garnet and Pearl, they also see the broadcast, and Steven calls Connie, and she's also like, yeah, the broadcast is also coming out on my TV and stuff too. And so they're like, well, how can Peridot possibly be broadcasting such a powerful message? And it's like, oh, duh, the communication hub.
Remember that place we were and we like destroyed it? But I guess she rebuilt it because she's Peridot. She can do that kind of shit. That's what she's here to do.
And it's weird because she doesn't have her ship, and she hasn't realized her magnetism power. So how did she rebuild it?
That really is the question that I've been asking myself rewatching this episode. How does like tiny little gremlin Peridot rebuild this? Do her limb enhancers have some feature that help her do this?
You know what? We just don't know. But yeah, this was... So the crystal gems, they all have to travel on Lion's back because, as we remember, Sugalite destroyed the warp pad. they find that the hub has been rebuilt with what was left of its remains, and it seems to be highly energetic. So Steven understands that they have to destroy the hub, and he's like, hey, Amethyst, Garnet, form Sugalite again. And Amethyst wants to. She's happy with that idea, but Garnet doesn't want to. She's like, hey, the last time we formed Sugalite, we went berserk and our personalities took over, and that wasn't healthy for us. So she's like, hey, we got to do this carefully. So, hey, Pearl, let's fuse.
Mm-hmm.
I specifically remember when this episode premiered on Cartoon Network, the like lead up to it, and even knowing that I think we were going to get a new fusion in this episode, it was still so fucking huge to finally see Pearl and Garnet fuse.
Yeah. And this fusion
now that-
dance is insane. It's so good. It has lived in my head for ages.
I was at Comic-Con when they showed this scene.
Whoa.
This like little clip, and oh my god, it was loud. People were fucking losing their minds at like it's still listen, it's still a kid show, so like obviously nothing graphic, but everyone was losing their minds at like Pearl doing that like rubbing her shoulders and like slithering movement, I guess. So yeah, now that we've seen all three of the main fusions of the crystal gems, who do we think who's our favorite of the fusion? Sardonyx, Sugalite, or Opal?
Sardonyx.
Phoebe?
I mean, it is Sardonyx, but I have a soft spot for Opal because it's my birthstone.
That's cute. But yeah, and the reason we all love Sardonyx is because the second she forms, she's so happy to see Steven, and her weapon, I think, is also the best out of the three fusions, where she has
Right?
this like giant mallet of fists. It's great.
Because when you put a spear and the fist things together, it becomes just a giant fucking hammer. Like wacky, crazy, silly hammer time is what Sardonyx is bringing here today. And just everything about her design, the way, like, her middle, she can turn 360 degrees, y'all, because for some reason there's the middle part that has more arms and everything, and she's got a suit. Listen, she's perfect.
I love how performative she is. Just how the combination of their, I guess, personalities just turns into I'm here to perform. You're going to look at me.
It is really funny, and I mean, it is not funny, but it is really interesting, and it is looked at during this episode how the different fusions personalities are formed. Because Opal, even though I don't think we've seen her twice so far, and she's just very calm, polite, loving. Because the only line I think we hear her say is that line where she's singing from Giant Woman.
Mm.
And then Sugalite, I mean, Sugalite, do we have to pay her? She didn't say anything in this episode, but she's here.
You like that, little man?
I hate that. I hate that so much.
You're welcome.
Sardonyx is so far the one. Again, I can't say that because Sugalite did have a personality. It was just a lot. So yeah, Sardonyx being this sort of carefree character is so interesting to me because she's formed by one of the strictest, like most like consistent and professional people on the show, characters on the show. And then the other one that forms Sardonyx is a very like personal, kind of closed off, very strong and sturdy person. And I love how that combination makes carefree, cracking jokes, twirling around. I don't think she breaks the fourth wall in this episode.
I don't think in this episode. But Robert, you got to think about all the different components that make all of these gems, because we can't forget about Ruby and Sapphire. Like, it's Ruby and Sapphire together that make Garnet. But then adding Pearl into the mix there, we have like everything that like Ruby has kind of opened up for Sapphire kind of feels like it like, you know, adding Pearl into that mix, it kind of like breaks them out of the shell of like the confines, because it's Ruby that is like the carefree one of those three, right?
Right.
So I think that's where that part comes from. Then like Pearl finally gets to like Pearl tries to make jokes like all the damn time, right? But like they're not, they don't quite land in the right way. It's like, but she needs Garnet's like Ruby and Sapphireness to like give her the confidence, I guess, to pull that kind of stuff off and everything. I'm trying to think of what Sapphire really brings to the mix, but like the Ruby and the Pearl of it all, like definitely makes some of that personality, I think.
So then Steven is like, hey, Sardonyx, are you going to use your Warhammer to smash? Oh, no. Wait, I have to talk about how after she says hello, Steven just says, giant woman.
Giant woman!
And like the stars are in his eye, and it's really cute. So then he asks Sardonyx, hey, are you going to use your Warhammer to smash the communication hub? And she goes into this wonderful like little monologue where she's like, no, I'm going to take the pillars out by hitting them, but I am more sophisticated. She's like, the proper words to describe yours truly are specific, intelligent, accurate, faultless, elegant, controlled, surgical, graceful, and powerful. But yes, occasionally I am known to smash.
I love it. I love it. And then the unfusing moments of like Garnet and Pearl holding each other like they're about to kiss.
They knew what they were fucking doing.
Mwah. Just amazing, beautiful, gay.
Listen, you have two lesbians in a trench coat and like some thick and pink. That came out wrong. But like they knew what they were fucking doing. They had the two, honestly, yeah, I think like the two gayest characters in the show, much less in the Crystal Gems. Like they knew what they were fucking doing.
Yeah, exactly. So they did it. Mission accomplished. So we go home, and now presumably it's another day. Garnet and Steven are watching Crying Breakfast Shows together. I love that this has become a thing that he's forcing upon them. Like it's like forcing your best friends to watch your favorite show. Like, no, you're gonna like it. It's fine. Just try one more episode. I promise. It'll be okay.
I'm trying to think about what that show is for me. Like, what's the show I force people to watch? I think it's Doctor Who. What about you two?
I mean, right now I'm in the middle of, swapping shows with Abby, and tried to make her watch Dungeon Meshi, Delicious in Dungeon. She's not an anime girl.
I was really hoping that you'd say Sherlock because my answer was Supernatural, and we could form the trifecta.
We could have been Super Hulock.
Sorry, I've never seen Sherlock.
Hey Charlie, you want to start up?
No, I don't think so.
It's only how many? It's 12 episodes,
Yeah,
right?
I've heard how unsatisfying it is.
Oh, it's so unsatisfying. God, you want to talk about fucking queer baiting.
When Emily and I were in London, we were like, we should watch something that's set in London to like get ourselves back in get ourselves in the London loving headspace. And she suggested Sherlock. And so what we ended up doing instead was watching Sherlock is Garbage, and Here's Why, the stunning video essay.
Love that video essay so much.
Amazing. Good.
And that was our we love London. Let's get a taste of London.
I quote a fucking boomerang like religiously. Oh god. I can't believe my brain wanted to say, so anyway, Steven Universe, who the fuck do I think I am? Mike Schubert?
Or me. I also say this so fucking often. Mike Schubert stole this from me.
Well, then you can sue him for it, I guess.
Okay, so they're watching it, and then Pearl comes in just as the TV's doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, not again. What did we just fucking clean this mess? Can it stay clean for 10 minutes?
I was literally about to say it's the fucking Incredibles section.
Exactly.
I just cleaned everything. Can it stay clean for 10 minutes?
Yeah, and meanwhile, Amethyst is trying to eat a snack. She can't even eat a snack. We gotta go.
Yeah.
We gotta go right back. We gotta get Lion every time here, though. Because Sugalite broke the warp pad. So poor Lion in this episode is so tired of carrying all 4 of them.
Yeah. I just find it funny knowing that Sugalite destroyed the warp pad and then she walked back to Beach City.
Yes. She's just that giant.
Yeah. Oh, also I forgot about Alexandria, but still, Sardonyx is probably my favorite out of the 4.
Yeah. Still. Even including Alexandrite.
Even including Alexandrite, maybe even including Obsidian, if we want to go all the way to Future.
Oh, but if we're including the Steven fusions.
Oh, Smoky Quartz. My favorite then is Smoky Quartz if we include the Steven fusions.
I mean Smoky, but also Rainbow Quartz 2.0. Yeah. Listen, queer Mary Poppins
Yeah.
That's just Mary Poppins. What are you talking about?
Yes, but it's like he, they, Mary Poppins.
Oh my god. So yeah, Psionics is used again. She's like, oh yeah, I'm like so great. I'm back.
Encore.
And then she destroys the communication hubs again. As she does this, Amethyst sings Tower of Mistakes, which is, I completely forgot that this song existed. And then I'm listening to this and I'm like, Amethyst, are we finding out something LGBT about ourselves?
Yeah. I had also completely forgotten about this song.
This is a very slept on song, I'm not gonna lie. I only remember every word of it because of how often I listen to the soundtrack. But yeah, listen, she's just like, wow, you found someone to replace me. I miss you.
You fused one fucking time, or like two times, I think, in the show, right? Was the Sugalite episode once or twice?
It was once. Yeah.
Once. And
The
God.
This episode is the only other time Sugalite appears, like, actually.
Yeah. It's just really funny how, in a weird way, Sugalite's a toxic relationship, and Amethyst misses it. So what does that say about Amethyst?
You deserve better, Amethyst?
She does. Jesus Christ. Steven and Amethyst, along with Lion, they go back to the communication hub for surveillance because they're like, hey, if Peridot came back twice, then she'll come back again. So they plan to stand watch and, capture Peridot. And they have this really funny line where Steven's like looking around. He's like, I see Peridot. No, wait, that's just an oddly shaped cactus.
I fucking love this. Why is there a cactus with her head?
It's just Dorito.
Yeah. I don't remember if it was like drawn by the actual animators or fan art, but like it lives in my head of like that is Peridot in a cactus costume. Like in my head, the next shot was like Peridot's face, like shaking, holding the cactus pose, and I was like, "Wait, that's not what happens. Where did that come from?"
I think I also remember this. I think it definitely is something fan drawn, but like,
yeah, it's like symptom of being active on Tumblr at the time.
Wow,
Dashcom
Tumblr,
2,
bringing it back. But the cactus costume is just making me think of a Scooby-Doo episode where there's literally somebody wearing a cactus, an inflatable cactus costume.
As opposed to what, like a solid cactus costume?
I don't know, man. It's inflatable, and it just like takes the thing out when the guy just runs away and leaves the costume for Fred and Daphne to find.
Yeah, it looks like, so it's starting to look like that Peridot is coming back because they see her ship. But wait a minute, the crystal gems compounded her ship. So did Peridot steal it again? Hey, let's zoom in. Hey, that Peridot, that looks a lot like Pearl. Wait, what? And then Pearl uses, because again, how does Peridot do it the first time? Pearl has to use this like magnetism shit that's in Peridot's ship to like rebuild the communication hub.
Mm-hmm. So really, again, the question is, where did this come from? How did Peridot build it?
Also, how did Pearl manage to figure out how to use the ship? Because her first experience with like new Gemworld tech was on like the big ship at the end of season 1.
Robert, she's Pearl. Like, is it later this season that they have like the robot fight? Like, Pearl could just build shit. Pearl almost made an almost working rocket. Like,
Pearl almost killed Steven.
Pearl almost killed Steven several times, but so I think she's just smart enough to figure that shit out. Why not?
They're like back in Steven's room watching the TV, and they're like, maybe she's doing it because she wants to study how it works. Amethyst shuts that idea down because she knows exactly what's fucking going on, and the static comes back, and Pearl pretends like, oh my gosh, wow, Peridot must have rebuilt the communication hub again. Hey, Garnet, we have to fuse again. Garnet, I don't understand this. So Garnet is frustrated because her future vision is not revealing them capturing Peridot. Wouldn't her future vision show her like, hey, Pearl's deceiving you?
So she like describes this like other times as well. Like, I want to say it's like season 4 or 5 or whatever, when she's like, my future vision hasn't been working lately, and it's because I didn't factor in that you're growing up. Like, I was only looking at the futures where you acted this way. Like, she's only looking at certain futures because she only has so much time to exist and, like, look at all this stuff. So she has to, file it away.
So it's like a Google prompt. She's like, show me futures that we capture Peridot, and her future vision just doesn't show her anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's something like that, because she's focusing on certain people's, like, actions and, like, what road they're gonna take, what things they're gonna do. And focusing on Peridot doesn't lead her to anything for this.
No. So again, the hub fixed, operational. Pearl is eager. Listen, we know what's going on. This is, I think, a different type. Like, it's still a toxic relationship. It's a different type of toxic relationship, as opposed to Amethyst and Garnet's fusion being like, again, I'm using relationship loosely. Fusion is not a metaphor for sex and relationships and whatever, but
it's a metaphor for relationships at the very least.
yes,
like, it's not necessarily a metaphor directly for sex only. It's a metaphor for, like, the way that people interact with each other and relationships, not necessarily romantic, sometimes just platonic.
yeah,
It's just, yeah.
But the difference in the two toxicities, I want to say, is that because Garnet and Amethyst are individually, good gems, good people who, when fused together, their personalities combined make a very chaotic, destructive force. Pearl and Garnet together make a very carefree, energetic, and playful force. But it's unnecessary. That's the big deal. It's unnecessary for them to keep doing this, especially for Garnet, who will now take this. So what happens is that eventually Amethyst reveals that, like, hey, Pearl's the one who's rebuilding the hub, and Garnet gets fucking pissed. And she even goes so far as to, like, I'm not fusing with Pearl again. Amethyst is fused to get this over with. To Garnet, fusion, especially as I believe there's a term in the fandom, right? Or I don't know if it's official or not, like an almost perfect fusion or whatever. Like, the only thing wrong with her, quote unquote, is the third eye. For Garnet especially, who has been Garnet for fuck ton of years, whose like love story of Ruby and Sapphire are so strong that they make this powerful ass Garnet. The idea of someone using fusion for their own personal gain, or their own, not personal, what's the word? Fucking,
for, like, non-pure purposes, basically.
I guess,
like, for like forcing it onto anybody. Like, with a recent episode, like, Keeping It Together, when she saw, like, the fusion experiments, like, that really set Garnet off. And I feel like that was foreshadowing for, like, this almost. It's like, how she reacted to that. How do you think she's going to react to Pearl tricking her into fusing?
Yeah. Well, she gets angry. That's how she does it. It's I mean, listen, in any relationship, if you lie to that extent, if you lie, especially just because it's for your own personal gain, and it's like nothing good is coming out of it, yeah, Garnet has every right to be pissed. Especially if you're fabricating a situation that it's like it's I don't have the proper language, I think, to, like, properly explain why this is so bad towards Garnet and why Pearl is so in the wrong. Like, we all know this, but, like, I don't exactly know how, like, what I'm trying to say.
I mean, so if you did go into, like, the Tumblr metaphor, if you will, of that, like, fusions are like sex and all of that, this is, like, kind of coming off of salty in a way, where Pearl is, like, tricking Garnet into having an intimate moment with her.
Yeah, I feel like that was a discourse. I feel like that was definitely a discourse about this, especially on Tumblr. Hey, bringing it back when this episode dropped, and I feel like, if I'm remembering correctly, there was a section of the fandom that, like, looked at it like that, and I think a lot of them were also, like, shut down and shut to the side, like, oh, no, we're not doing the whole, fusion is sex thing. Don't even bring those kind of discussions in. But, like, this is, I guess, what I'm trying to say and think about without actually using the right words.
Like, that is like the closest real world scenario, I feel like.
And either way, it's like it is manipulating her into
manipulating. That's the fucking word I was looking for.
An intimate moment, like you mentioned. Like, it's the way that it's drawn is bringing attention to that, I think, of, like, how intimate this is. and because of everything that you said about Garnet's relationship to Fusion generally.
They go back home, and Steven finally finishes that episode of Crying Breakfast Friends. Or maybe it's another episode, but like he was watching an episode earlier with Garnet where I think was Crying Pear, who was supposed to be like the Pearl equivalent, is saying sorry to the Crying Spoon one, and now they've forgiven each other. And it's like, why couldn't it be that easy in real life if it's so easy in cartoons?
Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall a little bit there.
Yeah.
And I love the foreshadowing of that earlier in the episode when Steven is watching that and is saying, "I'd forgive her, wouldn't you?" And Garnet's like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then Pearl and Garnet like kind of pass each other in the house, and they don't talk. Pearl wants to, but
Yeah.
And the episode ends. That's it.
Yeah.
Sad.
It ends kind of abruptly, which I kind of like, because sometimes that's how it is. You fuck up really badly, you can be sorry. It's not going to really fix anything in the moment, and then that's just it. It cuts to the end.
Mhm.
I want to point out, and like this is definitely just the choice of the Steven Universe Wikia people, but Pearl in the character section of this episode, Pearl is listed as a semi-antagonist, and I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, she's the antagonist of at least the plot of this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, Pearl and Garnet's relationship doesn't get fixed, quote unquote, until they have to
Several
form
episodes.
Sardonyx. Yeah, they have to form Sardonyx to like save themselves and Steven. So yeah, multi-episode, not good time with Garnet and Pearl.
Yeah,
Love
I think it's 4 episodes that this is happening. So
Yeah. Oh boy.
well, hey Robert,
Hey Charlie.
let's go to the Crystal Temple.
For some Crystal Temple trivia.
Yeah. A clip from this episode introducing Pearl and Garnet's fusion was shown at San Diego Comic-Con 2015.
Hey,
that where you
Phoebe,
were?
do you have Phoebe, do you have the trivia listed? That was the only San Diego Comic Con I fucking went to.
One day I'll be there. Yes, I do have it open.
It was fucking expensive, and I was fighting for my life for our New York Comic Con ticket is one thing. Fighting for my life for that San Diego Comic Con ticket was a whole other ball game. In a deleted scene, Steven pulls snacks out of lion's mane.
All right.
no.
The ending theme in this episode is similar to the one at the end of Jailbreak, but the audio is slightly distorted. I didn't notice that.
This episode is symbolized in the promo art for the third Steven bomb by a picture of Crying Pear from Crying Breakfast Friends.
Charlie, are you Crying Pear from Crying Breakfast Friends?
I don't know. I haven't been able to take the Crying Breakfast Friends quiz, so like I don't know which character I relate to the most.
I'm definitely Crying Milk.
I think there was a bacon character, wasn't there? Sad Bacon. I'm Sad Bacon. When the TV set is vibrating, it makes the same sound the wailing snow did when Greg was trying to adjust its audio and video properties.
Steven's Latin American voice actress, Alicia Medina, had previously confirmed that Sardonyx would debut in this episode.
Ooh. In this episode, Garnet displays a reluctance to forgive, apparent by her disagreement with the idea of forgiving Pearl and forgiving Crying Pear when Steven asks if Garnet would forgive her, and later not letting Pearl off the hook.
Ronaldo saw Peridot's signal and made a blog post on Keep Beach City Weird. Oh god, let's look at this photo.
Oh no.
23,000
there's a whole
notes.
fucking Tumblr post about it.
When's the last time someone reblogged or like this? Yesterday. Holy shit. People are still keeping up with Keep Beach City Weird. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, 10 years later. Keep Beach City Weird.
Fuck yeah.
To celebrate this episode, Christy Cohen made sad pears to symbolize Pearl's guilt. And there's a photo of them.
They look so sad.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of pears. One has the crying face, and there's a knife.
The knife
Yikes.
coming to get it is really...
I feel sad for this photo, but also I don't like pears that much. So like...
Neither do I. Yeah.
That's fine.
We don't need them.
Well, I guess we'll just let them die. It's fine.
Die! This episode does not end with a star-shaped iris closing in on a specific object.
The scene with the weird cactus that Steven mistakes for Peridot was devised by Jeff Liu.
The episode title is both a reference to Peridot asking for help from Homeworld and the Crying Breakfast Friends TV show within the world of Steven Universe. I would argue it's also, I feel like Pearl's actions are a cry for help, and all of Amethyst's songs are also a cry for help. There are several cries for help happening.
Yeah, I was thinking of it as Pearl, actually, like crying for help. Okay, this is a fun giant mess of things that I get to read. So Sardonyx's formation has many callbacks to Sugalite's debut. In Coach Steven, Garnet says, "We don't need to be careful, we just need to be huge," to justify fusing with Amethyst instead of Pearl. In Cry for Help, Garnet tells Pearl, "What we need now is to be careful." When Garnet asked Amethyst to fuse in Coach Steven, Amethyst is excited while Pearl is grumpy and disappointed. When Garnet asks Pearl to fuse in Cry for Help, the roles are reversed. When Sugalite forms, a red dragon silhouette appears, breathing out black flames which grow to form Sugalite's body. When Sardonyx forms, she appears in a pillar of light, which turns into a curtain and then splits apart into a cloud of dragonflies.
We didn't mention how cool that one shot is of Sugalite in like slow motion as the whole tower is coming down. So good.
Right? It is very good.
Absolutely.
In Coach Steven, Steven asks Sugalite if she's going to smash things with her weapon. In Cry for Help, Steven asks Sardonyx the same question. Sardonyx's appearance and behavior contrast with Sugalite. She has Pearl's thin build mixed with Garnet's I've never seen this word before.
Curvaceous.
Mixed with Garnet's curvaceous traits. Graceful moves, well-kept hair, and wears an elegant attire. Also, she asks how everyone is doing just after she finishes forming. Sugalite, on the other hand, has Amethyst heavy build mixed with Garnet's curves, moves somewhat brutishly, has a wild hairstyle, and wears punk-themed clothes. Her first words after forming showed her egoist persona. Also, Sugalite's visors are pointed, whereas Sardonyx's are rounded. Also, if you listen closely during the formation of Sardonyx, you can hear that some of the same sound effects were used for the formation of Sugalite.
I feel like that was a typo. Can you just say the word egotist?
Egotist?
I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be egotist.
Okay. My brain was like,
Read the whole bullet again.
That's fine. I just need them to say. I just needed them to say egotist so I could just plop that in the editing. Cultural references. Sugalite's tower smashing punch is inspired by the Twister Sock punch from Popeye and Donkey Kong's giant punch from Super Smash Bros.
When Amethyst opens the refrigerator while Steven and Garnet were watching Crying Breakfast Friends, one of the products inside the refrigerator is labeled Moo Moo Milk, which is the same name as the drink from the Pokemon franchise.
Sardonyx has a noblewoman's laugh.
Oh.
I did not catch that. I did not even know this was what it was called. I did not even know this was a fucking that this was like a thing, a trope. I did not know this was a thing.
Oh, I love that there's a whole fucking trope page for it. And I love even more the character who is on whose pictures right here. It's a Sailor Moon character. Yes. Amazing.
Steven does the floating sausage optical illusion. Why the fuck is this in cultural references? How is this affecting the culture?
Did we even mention the floating sausage? The floating sausage is important.
We forgot to, but hey, show of hands for the ADHD kids. Have you done that? I've definitely done that.
Yes. Yes. Floating sausage.
Sardonyx's pose in front of the moon is identical to Bayonetta's pose in the box art for Bayonetta 2.
Rebecca Sugar recommended to Joe Johnston to look into the choreography of the Korean singer Sunmi for animating Pearl and Garnet's fusion dance. The storyboards for Pearl and Garnet's fusion dance were also timed to Sunmi's track Full Moon.
Wow.
I feel like
Sunmi from the Wonder Girls? Sunmi of Wonder Girls fame? I saw the Wonder Girls open for the Jonas Brothers in 2009.
That's that's a sentence. And now for Charlie's favorite section.
Continuity?
Peridot assembled a functioning signal tower out of the ruins of the communication hub.
Okay. That one confused me for a second because I assumed the continuity section would be like continuity errors, even though errors is not here.
Nah.
Oh no, that's a whole other section.
Yeah. The crystal gems reached the hub with Lion's portal ability because the warp pad was broken in Coach Steven.
Paradox escape pod was repaired by Pearl since the events of Joyride.
Garnet says, what we need now is to be careful when proposing fusion to Pearl, referencing when she said, we don't need to be careful, we just need to be huge before fusing with Amethyst and Coach Steven.
In Tower of Mistakes, Amethyst says, I forgot how great it felt to be us, referencing when Sugalite says, I forgot how great it feels to be me.
In the episode of Crying Breakfast Friends, Sad Spoon forgives Crying Pear, symbolizing Garnet forgiving Pearl in friendship.
That's the name of the episode. There we go.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
I just also remembered, just because we were talking about Coach Steven for a second, the whole Pearl's whole fucking song about like I can show them how to be strong in the real way. And then hey, she kind of went again, like in the real way where it counts, not just like fusing for the sake of fusing. Pearl, you should have learned your own lesson.
Nope, she did not. She in fact forgot because she was like, oh my god, I get to fuse with Garnet.
I mean, to be fair, who wouldn't want to fuse with Garnet?
Right?
All
Touch
right,
it.
now for the question. What on earth is the question going to be?
Oh, I thought I had something.
I don't have a question in my brain. All I have is David Tennant just saying, never eat pears. I don't want to wake up in 3 months and John Smith is a fake character and I don't like pears.
Okay. Oh. Well, we already answered it before, but
What?
no, wait. I feel like we've already done that question before. Shit, have we done that question before? Have you already asked?
I don't know what question you're fucking thinking of.
I'm asking myself. Like what show do you like make your friends watch or such? Like we could do something like that. Or
do you like pears? No. Have you
ever done the sausage thing with your fingers?
I mean, if we want to go for a deep one, I could be like, have you ever forgiven someone who maybe didn't deserve it? But do we want to get into that tonight? Do we want that vibe in the Chili's tonight?
I don't know if that's the vibe in the Chili's tonight.
Right, and I've never forgiven anyone for anything in my entire life, so wouldn't have a good answer for that one.
Queen shit, honestly.
Has anyone been forced to watch a show that they really didn't want to watch, that they really didn't like, and played the Garnet in that scenario?
See, like in the beginning, a lot of shows are like that, where like a family member or a friend will be like, I'm gonna sit you down and force you to watch this. I'm like, no, I don't want to. And then like 2 episodes
Steven
later,
Universe was one of those shows for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then it's like, I don't want to. And then you sit down and you watch an episode or two, you're like, well, fuck, this is good. That's just my answer. Fuck, this is good.
My answer was Steven Universe.
What would your answer be, Phoebe?
See, I asked the question and I don't even know. I'm so stubborn that I so rarely
I do
watch
this to myself
things.
all the time, so
oh, there's one at the tip of my tongue. I'll say that Lost was one of those, because I remember when my mom was watching it and like as it was coming out, she was always like, you would like this show, Phoebe, you should watch it. And like, I was an 8th grader and probably shouldn't have watched it, but I avoided it until finally giving in, and now it's like on my list of favorite shows.
Actually, I'm going to change my answer, because it's technically not a show that I'm like didn't want to watch because people were recommending it to me. It's just that it was recommended to me at a time that I was super fucking busy, and then by the time I was like, I have free time to watch it, everyone sort of stopped giving a crap about it, and that is Black Sails.
Wow.
Yeah, no one cares about Black Sails whatsoever.
Now I do significantly. I occasionally message to Daphne being like, oh my god, this scene, and she's like, right?
Yeah. You know what? Black Sails is also kind of one of those, because I tried to watch it in like sophomore year of college and was like, I can't get into this, and then stopped, and then had to come back to it years later. So
all right. And then who are we giving our Pearl points to? I want to give it to the cactus, the paradox-shaped cactus.
You're stealing mine.
We can both vote for the same thing.
Paradox-shaped cactus.
I'm giving mine to Crying Pear. I don't know. I feel like they kind of owned this episode.
Honestly, you're not wrong.
Well, yeah.
That would mean that we have finished yet another episode of The Bits. But before we go, Phoebe, if you'd like to remind everyone where they can find you.
You can find me. Let me see if I can remember all of my social media. You can find me on Instagram at PHOJOCO, or on Twitter at Dramaturg, spelled with a W, Dramaturg. Or you can find my podcast, Monster Donut, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and on all social media at PJO Pod.
Good shit.
Good shit indeed. Oh, right. Hey, Charlie,
Hey, Robert.
if every podcast were perfect,
We wouldn't have the bits.
bye.
Bye.
You can follow this podcast socials at the Bits SU Pod on Instagram and Tumblr. You can send a message to our Diamond Line through thebitsSUpod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us financially, join us at our Patreon, patreon.com/thebitsu. By becoming a patron, you can join the Deus Ex Media Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with us and other listeners about Steven Universe, or whatever else. Our $5 patron tier also gets you access to Steven's Room, our monthly bonus show. There, we'll be talking about a wide variety of topics which usually have something to do with Steven in some way. No promises.
You can check out our merch store, The Bits SU, on Redbubble to find custom designs made by yours truly. Or if you cannot or do not want to support us financially, we'd really appreciate a rating, a review, or even letting your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. It really helps. Our music was written and produced by Jason Hilton. You can find him at Negative Selections on Instagram. You can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws.
You can find me, Robert, at the Damn Meme Page on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky. If you want to have more from me, check out my YouTube channel, also called the Damn Meme Page, where I make videos mainly about Percy Jackson, but also sometimes other fun stuff. The Bits is proud to be a part of Deus Ex Media, which features great podcasts like Of the Eldest Gods, a chapter-by-chapter Rick Riordan pod with mythological context and no spoilers.
Well, we finished the Percy Jackson series. Wait, what are we still doing here? And what is that music?
Oh, you thought it was over, bro? We're just getting started.
We are? Charlie, what's next for Of the Eldest Gods?
Well, Ray, it's time for us to go into our Egyptian era. We're gonna start the Kane Chronicles.
Oh, hell yeah! Wait, why do you have a glowing boomerang?
Don't worry about it. It's just my Egyptian magic wand.
Man, the Egyptian stuff isn't gonna be like the Greek stuff, is it?
Not at all. But we'll still cover mythology as it comes up in each chapter.
Are we gonna have cabins this season?
Nah, the Kanes don't have cabins. So instead, I'm Charlie, following the path of Bast.
And I'm Ray, following the path of Geb.
Join us as we read The Red Pyramid, the first book of the Kane Chronicles, chapter by chapter.
Welcome back to Of the Eldest Gods.
Deus Ex Media.